my name is Kaelene. Welcome to the Book Buddies. Today I'm going to do my year wrap-up and 2015 goals. So I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in 2014. Well, actually I'm just going to say them because talking about them would take forever. And a lot of these I don't have because I got them from libraries or borrowed them or you know. Anyway, the first book I read was called The Dowry of Miss Lydia Clark. It's the third book in the Gresham Chronicles, and it is by Luana Blackwell. And I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Horse Whisperer by Nicholas Evans. I didn't like that one as much. I only give it 2 stars. Then on my Kindle, I read a novella called Kissed by a Cowboy by Lacey Williams that I gave 4 stars. Next, I borrowed Divergent by Veronica Roth, and I gave that one 5 stars. Then I borrowed The Fellowship of the Ring, the first part of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read We'll Meet Again by Mary Higgins Clark, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read the first book that I actually have a physical copy of, and it's not even mine, it's my mom's, but I read Daddy's Gone A-Hunting by Mary Higgins Clark, and I gave this one 4 stars. Then back to back I read Insurgent and Allegiant, the last 2 books of the Divergent series by Veronica Roth, and I gave both of them 5 stars. Then I read The Two Towers, the second part of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I gave that one 4 stars. And then I read the first book that I actually have a copy of that I own. I read The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and I gave that one 4 stars. Next I read The Return of the King, the third and last part of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I gave that one 5 stars, and it was definitely my favorite part of the whole book. Like, that part was awesome. Then I read another book on my Kindle. It was called True by Ray Alvarez, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Kaelene by Esma Rideout Booth, and I gave that one 3 stars. Then I read Sacred Stone, a novel of the Oregon Files by Clive Cussler and Craig Durgo, and I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read The Giver by Lois Lowry. It's the first book in the Giver Quartet, and I gave this one 4 stars. Next I read Fairy Tale Weddings by Debbie Macomber, and I gave this one 4 stars. Next I read Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, and I gave that one 4 stars. After that I read Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read The Maze Runner, the first book in the Maze Runner series by James Dashner, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read Wicked Girls, a novel of the Salem Witch Trials by Stephanie Hemphill, and I gave that one 3 stars. Then I read my favorite book of 2014, and it was The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak, and I obviously gave this one 5 stars. Then I read the only book I read in October, and it was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, and I gave that one 3 stars. Then I read the only book I read in November, which was False Memory by Dean Koontz, and I gave that one 5 stars. Then in December I read The Dirt Diary, which is the first book in that series by Anna Staniszewski, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I finally got around to rereading Mrs. Mike by Benedict and Nancy Friedman. It's the first book in the Mrs. Mike series, and I gave this one 5 stars. Then I finally got around to rereading The Lightning Thief, the first book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan, and I gave this one 5 stars. After that I immediately picked up The Sea of Monsters, which is the second book in the series, and gave that one 5 stars as well. Then I read another book on my Kindle called Hearts of Avon by Scott Toney, which I gave 3 stars. Then I borrowed a book from the library called Ask My Mood Ring How I Feel by Diana Lopez, and I gave that one 4 stars. Next I read the second book in the Mrs. Mike series, The Search for Joyful by Benedict and Nancy Friedman, and I gave this one 5 stars. Next I read Cinder, the first book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, and I gave this book 5 stars. Then I read another book on my Kindle, Unexpected Gifts by Elena Aitken. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read The Brothers O'Brien, which is the first book in the Brothers O'Brien series by William W. Johnstone with J.A. Johnstone. I didn't like this one very much either, so I only gave it 2 stars. Then I read The 17-Second Miracle by Jason F. Wright and gave this one 5 stars. Then the last book I read in 2014 was Leaving Time by Jodi Picoult. I loaned this one out to Katie, but yeah, I actually managed to finish it for the end of 2014, and yeah, that book was amazing, and I totally did not see that plot twist coming. Like, did not see it coming at all. It was amazing, and I gave it 5 stars. So, in total, over 2014, since I started counting, I didn't really start counting till March, I read 36 books. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that, and I'm excited for 2015. I also want to talk about how Katie and I did with the YouTube channel. We started the channel August 15th, 2014, and from then until the end of the year, we made a total of 42 videos and got 336 views and 7 subscribers. So if you're one of those 7 subscribers, I want to thank you so much for subscribing. It means a lot to Katie and me that you subscribed. And yeah, you should have seen us when we found out. Every time that we got a new subscriber, we'd like text each other and be like, do you know we got another new subscriber? And we'd be like, we did? That's so awesome! So yeah, we were really excited about it. So thank you very much for that. Okay, end of the sappy sort of moment. Now I'm going to talk about my goals for 2015. I don't have a whole lot of goals because, yeah, I just don't really like to set goals. I pretty much read just to read. But I did set a couple goals. My first is to read 40 books in this year. I thought about setting a harder goal, but there's going to be a lot of stuff going on for me this year, so I'm not really sure how much time I'll have to read. But I think reading 4 more books this year than I did last year should not be too hard, so I'm kind of excited about that. According to Goodreads, I'm already ahead of schedule because I read 1 book so far this year. And then my other goal is to just be more consistent in reading and booktubing. Like I said earlier, I only read 1 book each in October and November, but then in December I read 12. And yeah, that almost put me in a reading slump. Like, I kind of burned out on reading for a couple days. And yeah, I want to be more consistent about reading just to preserve my sanity, if there is some left. And then I want to be more consistent in booktubing because originally I was supposed to post a video every Thursday, and it kind of turned out that I was just posting a video whenever I filmed one. And this video is not going to be posted on a Thursday, so far that goal is not going very well. But you know, this needed to be posted early in the year. I have an excuse. But yeah, I just want to be a little more consistent with what I do, and that's kind of an important thing to stop procrastinating for everything. So yeah, so that was my year wrap up and my 2015 goals. I hope you enjoyed it. Katie and I will have some more videos up sometime soon about something. So in the meantime, I'll be reading this. So I will see y'all later. Bye!